Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to this week's Hangout on Air from Suntico. This week, 5 ways that Suntico can help companies that use Sage 50 Accounting with credit control. My name is Hugh Johnson. I'm Senior Vice President of Business Development for Suntico. If you like what you heard this afternoon, please feel free to tell the world, share this on your social networks. If you don't like what you hear, please tell me. Of course, you are free to share this also on your social networks as well. And just as a reminder, this is one of a series of Hangouts on Air every Thursday at 1300 Eastern. And as I say, this week it's all about how Suntico can help solve the problem of credit control. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to claim that Suntico is a credit control solution. You can purchase dedicated credit control solutions, but what Suntico is a very, very useful cross-business account management tool that can be applied to many of the common problems that you face with credit control. So firstly, before we get started into the main agenda, let me just remind you of what the basic concepts of what Suntico is. Suntico is a cloud-based system, and it's deliberately so, to provide access across the company and across the business. And what it does is it synchronizes all of your Sage 50 accounting data up into a cloud-based database where that can be shared across the company between your sales teams, your customer service teams, your delivery teams, and your finance teams that can collaborate on getting jobs done, getting work done in a semi-ad hoc way against the structured business records of the company. If you want more details on this, of course, you can visit our website and you can go in and you can have a look, and there are plenty of videos and various resources that you can take a look at. But back to today's agenda. And firstly, I just want to touch briefly on the credit control challenge that companies face, and then just dip into the five different ways in which Suntico can help you with a simple example of each, and then a touch on the future roadmap. So the credit control challenge is actually quite straightforward. It comes down to the fact that customers don't pay you on time. They might pay you, but they don't pay a lot of people on time. And unfortunately for a credit controller, you don't tend to get to select who your customers are. That actually, like it or not, tends to get done by the sales department. And a lot of the front-end interaction between the business and your customers that actually affect whether or not the customer pays you is done by people outside the finance department and outside the credit control function. So unfortunately, in a lot of situations, the credit control function is actually left out of a lot of the frontline conversations. So you're kind of left in the dark trying to invoice customers correctly, trying to gather information, trying to get paid while you're in the dark. And then on top of that, of course, I think most credit controllers would agree that they're under-resourced. So let's move on to the 5 reasons. Sorry, my mistake. First is handling new customers. Let's just give a very, very simple example of how Suntico helps you handle new customers. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm logged in as Francisc, and I'm in the finance department, have quite a quite an important credit control function within the company. And as events happen that are of note to me, I get notifications up here, and I can see that some tasks have been assigned to me relating to invoicing, and they're also pushed through to my wall within the company. If I go to my wall, this works rather like a Facebook wall or whatever. What I can see is that David Clancy, who's one of the sales reps, has actually created a task for me to run a credit check on a prospect account he has called Rose's Uni, where there's quite a large opportunity, and in fact I can also see that he's got an appointment coming up with the account. Let me just see when that is. I can see he has an appointment coming up on the 14th to finalize the proposal and terms. So this is a good example of being proactive, and what David Clancy has asked me to do is to run a credit check on the account and so on. So to save time, we can, for the purposes of this afternoon's demonstration, I can pretend, of course, that I have run that credit check, and I can go and look at the details of the task that he's assigned to me. I can be satisfied that's been done. I can mark the task as completed, and that'll send a notification to David Clancy that has happened. Meanwhile, what I've also done is I've set up in Sage 50 Accounting the full proper details of the customer record. In fact, he misspelled it. It wasn't account Roses. It wasn't Rose's Uni, as he'd put it. Actually, it was Rose University is the correct name. And what I can do as a administrator within Suntico, I can merge that record that David had been working with as prospect information within Suntico, and I can merge that with the account record that I set up in Sage 50. So if I just take the account I've set up in Sage 50, and I have Rose University, and I want to merge into that Rose's Uni, okay, that David had been working with, and when I hit merge, what that'll do is, because I've now set the account up in Sage 50, all the notes that David had been working with on the account before they became a customer, before they became a prospect, or sorry, while they were a prospect, all that is carried through, and I don't lose any information. And maybe he has additional contacts that I haven't set up within Sage 50. So that task is done, and David should be happy, and he can go ahead and secure that order and actually push that straight through into Sage 50. The next common issue, so that's kind of handling new customers, so it's not a panic at the end. The next thing I want to look at is when to bill for project work. I mean, this is a classic one in a lot of companies where there may be projects ongoing, the work is done, and nobody actually tells the finance department that the job needs to be billed. Now that's actually very, very simple. So here I've logged on as David, okay, and I've completed some work relating to an existing sales order, and actually all I need to do is just create a task for the finance department. And what I've done here is I've set up, these are configurable by you, I've set up a number of kind of important generic tasks that I might want to repeat a number of times. So this task relates to invoicing, and what I know is that we've completed the job for Kenton Golf and Tennis Centre, then that can be now invoiced. So I can specifically direct this task to Francisc in the finance team, so he gets the notification on his wall, and please invoice, the job was completed today. I'm going to assign that to Francisc and save the task. Now, what that will do is that'll post a notification to Francisc that he can now invoice this customer against that order. So the communication just flows straight through from the person delivering the work through to the finance department. Saves the finance department actually having to get up and chase around what's happening. But what I realise actually is I've forgotten something. I've forgotten to actually, what I'd collected from the customer was an acceptance certificate from the customer, proof of delivery, or so to speak. So what I can do is I can now actually attach that to the task. And well, it doesn't really matter what the document is in this particular example. So what I've done is here is the acceptance certificate. Okay, which could be very important for the credit controller. So that'll just push through. The next thing I wanted to talk about was fixing an incorrect invoice. And again, I think you're getting the pattern here. What I can do is I actually happen to know that there's an invoice. It was an invoice number 101. 10118, I think, was the invoice. As one of my customers, they were just complaining that that they didn't get the full delivery. It hasn't been paid. You see, Stevenson Leasing, and it was that the leaf blowers on this order were not delivered. So actually, from within the invoice, what I can do, they were on to me, talking to me, all I can do is from within the invoice, I can create a task, again, for the finance department to correct that. And leaf blowers not delivered, please issue credit and reissue invoice. I'm going to assign that to the finance team. Market, public or private, doesn't matter, and just save that. So that's just a very, very simple way. As a sales rep, all I need to do is call up the copy of the invoice, and off the back of that, create a task for the finance team to get on. Next one, again, chasing for late payment. I think you're getting the picture. If I'm if I'm in the finance department and I'm chasing for late payment against an invoice, using the wall function, I can very, very easily and very, very quickly just add notes and add attachments and add any notes to the invoice or add any notes to a late invoice, and it appears that all are in time sequence. And here we can just throw in a quick note. So here we have an example of an invoice that hasn't been paid, and I can just add a quick note in terms of the history. Spoke to the customer, and should be paid by EFT this week. Okay. Now that little note is timestamped. It's there for everybody to see. It's there for the sales team to see. If I needed help with the sales department or the sales rep following up, I could issue a task to the sales rep to follow up with that. Now, the last thing I wanted to show was just how within Suntico you can also, as a credit controller, be a little bit more proactive, because one of the things I mentioned early on was the whole thing about not having enough resources within the credit control function, and that's very normal. So what I've done is I've created here, I think those of you on the call last week would have seen this, I've created a list of accounts with balance exceeding $10,000. So if I want to get proactive with my customers and just chase them up proactively, I want to do the ones that owe me the most money. I want to do that with the ones that owe me the most money. So here I've pulled up a list. Now, of course, I've set this to accounts with a balance exceeding $10,000, but of course it could be, I could set that to whatever I wanted. So I could just drill down to this example, Teesdale Real Estate, and when I drill down into the record here, what I can see is I can see the invoices that are making up the balance on the account, and I can put a call into the customer, and just, they're not overdue yet, but I can put a call into the customer just to make sure that everything is okay. Did they receive the goods in time? Was it all in good order? And are the invoices scheduled for payment? I can stick a note on the account, or stick a note on each invoice as I've verified each invoice, or on the account record itself. So there you have it. 5 ways that Suntico helps with the process of credit control and getting paid sooner. Those are not the only ways, of course, that you can help, and there are future developments all the time coming down the line within Suntico that will help further. What I would urge you to do is, if you go to our website at forget the wwws, at suntico.com, and at the bottom of the home page, what you will see is a little roadmap link. Go to that roadmap and browse, and you'll see other features that are coming down the line within Suntico, including actually a collections management module. And feel free to leave any comments and suggestions. Thank you very, very much for your time. I apologize, I've ran slightly over. Next week at 1300 Eastern, purchase requisition management, similar kind of issues, but aimed specifically at customers that use Sage 50 account. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your attention.